Really proud of our guys again. It's funny, I just did the radio with Dave, and he said, hey, it's almost like the same story against North Carolina Central. It wasn't the prettiest game, but you guys found and made just enough plays. And I said, well, I don't even know why we're doing the media. Should have just replayed what we said on Wednesday night. But it is pretty similar, right? And I think that is incredible growth by a team and shows me that we're getting better, that we're finding ways. Different guys are stepping up. We obviously, shoot 44%. I thought we did an unbelievable job offensively tonight. It's really difficult to get into a rhythm against Rob's teams. He does such a great job of changing defenses, but they really keep their identity as to how hard they play, and no matter what defense they're doing. But our guys did a great job sharing the ball. Taking care of it, only eight turnovers and 13 assists, but I thought the shots we generated, we could have had 20-some assists, but those shots didn't always fall, and we're finding ways to make just enough defensive plays. And, getting 14 steals is an incredible number for us as a team that doesn't really press and do those things. So there's a lot of positives there.
You've always talked about your teams are at their best when they're getting out in transition, and I think you had 8 steals maybe in the first 14 minutes.
Yeah.
And you were able to get some buckets. I know there was a time, more towards the middle of the game, you were telling them go, 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 and guys were maybe kind of trying to slow it down, maybe just gather themselves a little bit. Is it a learning process for them to want to play as fast as you do? Get you guys together?
Yeah, and there's a balance with it, right? There's so many other factors. I think our staff does a great job of, what's the flow of the game like? How long have we been going without a stoppage? Have guys been out there for a while? Are legs tired? Who's in? Who has the ball, right? So I think the harder you're playing, the longer you go without stoppage, your decision-making goes down, right? And transition is all effort and decision-making on the fly. And we do want to make sure we reward our defense. And sometimes the best thing to do is get out and go and really race it up. Sometimes, it's kind of a feel that we want to back it out and attack strategically. Tonight, we really wanted to get out and transition just because, like I mentioned, the changing defenses that they're going to do, because I think if they have an opportunity to set their defense, then they can take away a lot of your aggressiveness. But we got enough stops to where we could get out and play in transition, but sometimes we get a little bit fatigued too, and we want to make sure that we're getting the right shot during that time.
Kurt asked this earlier, but I want to go back onto a play. They made a quick basket over Gabe. You had a conversation with him afterwards. He follows it up, gets that offensive rebound, put back. What did you like about his response? What was maybe that message you were trying to get to him?
The response wasn't, or the message I was giving him was really more on the offensive end. We came out of a timeout. Our execution, not just on him, but everyone was not great. He was literally standing on the wrong side of the court. But, I'm not going to be thrilled when that happens. And so then he comes down and we gave up a one-on-one basket. But, Gabe is tough as nails, man, and he's got some of the greatest humility I've ever seen, and nothing really bothers him. Nothing flinches, makes him flinch. And so, yeah, he came down. We had a good possession. We got a good look. He goes and just wheels his way to an offensive rebound. He's getting clobbered and finishes that through contact without a whistle. And that was a huge, huge play. And I'm glad you referenced his response, because basketball is a game of responses, right? You're not going to make every shot. You're not going to run every play correctly. You're not going to get every stop. But how do you respond to it? The team that does that the most consistently is usually who wins.
One of the bigger takeaways just throughout this year has kind of been the three-point shooting. I know you've talked a lot about other skill sets. Was there something with his tape when you were watching him back in Nevada? I know he shot 27% beyond the arc. Was there something that was showing you that could be turned around and he can have numbers like that? Yeah,
that's a great question. So, yes, when we're looking at guys and we're evaluating them via the portal, there's film, and obviously there's stats in there. For us, we've been able to recruit some guys via the portal that maybe their numbers weren't great, but as we look at it, we look at shot quality, right? And we didn't feel like he was probably a part of their offense, and that was something that they wanted him to do. He's almost surprised to catch it and find himself open and shoot it. He wasn't down and ready as much. So we kind of talked about that stuff and really learned, and we thought, he can be a really good shooter. And the moment we got him on campus, we started working on that. And he gets in every day, he gets his shots up and does what he's supposed to do, and he's got incredible confidence. And he goes 3 for 7 tonight. He could have easily gone 6 for 7. I can't believe I just said that. But then he but he's a guy that he's such a mismatch problem, right? Because you don't want to switch with him because he's big, he's physical, he can post you, he can drive smaller defenders. And so when he does, pick and pop on ball screens and you get 2 guys onto the ball, it puts a tremendous amount of pressure on the other team because he's shooting nearly 50%, I think, for the year. So you got to kind of pick your poison with him, and he's such a dynamic player and playing with such confidence right now that it's hard to take away, one facet of his game.
And then just throughout that second unit, kind of the combination when you put a guy like Eli in there and you have Christian, especially down low with their physicality. What are you liking about those two so far, kind of with that down low presence defensively?
Yeah, I think they're getting better, right? I thought we had a couple block shots. Eli came over and got one, I think, tonight, and certainly Christian did, as we know. But those guys have to be able to really help protect, right? Eli had 2 blocks, which were huge tonight, and so. You've got to have that back line. They've got to be those guys who can kind of erase mistakes. We've got to continue to get better at it, I think. And that's by committee, right? It's not just on them. Like, the guards got to do a better job protecting the paint, staying in front of their man, being tight in gaps, and limiting long closeouts that give up those paint touches that force those guys have to step up. But I thought they did a nice job and, got on the offensive glass here tonight. Eli gets 3 offensive rebounds, 2 block shots. That's a really good stat line. 1 assist and no turnover, significantly better than he did on Wednesday night. So I'm proud of his response as well.
So this wraps up week 5 of the non-conference schedule, obviously. And one of the fun things I like about watching college basketball teams is as they develop over this time. The way the style this game was played out, where would this team have been, say, in week 2? What progress has been made? And it seemed to me that just the sheer patience and staying together, not becoming frazzled late.
Yeah, that's a great point. I'll reference kind of last year. I think at Norfolk was our second game of the year, and we were in all kinds of sorts, right? We were struggling offensively. I think we took 42 threes in that game because we just didn't have that driving, attacking mentality. So I'm thankful that we were able to play them later this year because we are able to kind of find our footing and our identity. And guys are really starting to understand, okay, how are they playing us and how do we need to attack it? And I always tell the guys this, it's not about plays, it's about players, and it's not about running plays, it's about executing offense. And there's a huge difference. Everybody in the country runs good plays, but are you going to be able to execute offense against that team's defense and against a Norfolk team that switches it up a lot and doesn't really allow you to get in a rhythm? It becomes a player's game. I don't know that we were winning this game 3 weeks ago because we fell short in some of those what I would call players' games at LIU and Brooklyn and Longwood. So that's really incredible growth for our guys that is going to be important because there's going to be a lot of games like that as we get into the Sun Belt.
Coach, what is your perspective? Have you ever seen one of your own players goaltend their own dunk?
I can't say that I have. I thought that was pretty impressive. I'm looking forward to going back and seeing the clip of that. But yeah, that was pretty good. Pretty good there.
What was your direction to the team on the final possession?
Oh my gosh.
When you watch our replay, you'll see that Bradley Douglas fouled him.
Oh yeah. Okay. The very last play of the game where they chucked a 3 or
Second last.
yeah. Yeah, fouling was not part of our plan. I can tell you that. I don't know if I can give you all of our secrets because, but yeah, that was not part of the plan. And I think, to their credit, they had not really tried to establish the post the entire game until the very end. And then, they went to the big fella, Keontae Lewis, I think 3 straight times, and he delivered. But we got to do a better job. Can't let the ball come in from up top being pointed to it. That was not part of our game plan, but I'm fortunate that, and the games are like that, right? There's tons of contact that occurs that doesn't get called throughout the 40 minutes. Sometimes it's in your favor a little bit.
You mentioned on Wednesday that you were going to go to the game Coach Parker?
Coach who? Oh, Coach Parker. Yeah, so Coach Parker and I talked the night before the game. He was on campus and sent me a text, and they were staying in Charlottesville, so I didn't get a chance to, see him in person, but we got a chance to talk. He had his family with him and everything, and I was so happy for him. I did tell him, I said, listen, I can't root for you because I got to root for my Dukes and my boy Chesney, but I'm really happy for you, and he's done an incredible job turning it around from year two. And his defensive coordinator, Dante Wright, he and I are very close because we're all from the same area in Eastern Kentucky, and he was a GA at Kentucky when I was. So we had classes together, and he was at Moorhead at one point in time. So those roots, they go way back, and I'm really happy for those guys. They're going to do an incredible job. And that was a Sun Belt championship game in any sport. That's exactly what you'd expect it to be. And I'm just incredibly happy, for our team. And just the poise and the professionalism that, Coach Chesney, Matt, our administration, and now Coach Napier, that everybody's handling this, right? This is a totally new era, right, in college athletics, and I don't know, there's no right or wrong. We see this stuff happen all the time, but I just, Bob's my guy, and I got so much respect for the fact that he said, man, I'm coaching my team. I'm going to be very transparent about the coaching carousel, and I'm going to be locked into leading this team and fulfilling my commitment, and you got to respect that, and I'm so happy for it, and I'm very excited to get Coach Napier here as well. But I don't know if he's from Tennessee or Georgia. My wife was reading his bio, but I do want him to know there's only room for one country accent around here as a head coach, so we got to get that straightened out. And last thing, do you have another question, Kelly?
Do you throw any snowballs?
No snowballs from me. No, sir. Matt Roan was not happy, and I don't like when Matt's not happy with me. And so, but I do one last shout out. Okay, 2:00 tomorrow. Coach O, they're on fire right now, right? They've won 4 in a row. I mean, my goodness, we got to start talking about building a statue of this guy at some point. VCU coming in here, and can't wait to see this place rocking and see Coach O and those ladies continue to roll. Go Dukes.